All right, for the second part of our people walking down the road project, the second video, I'm going to actually just go ahead and do the project and show you kind of how I'm going about doing this. When things start to get a little bit repetitive, I'm probably going to pause just so the video isn't 20 or 30 minutes long. So step one. So our goal is to get it so that this image just has these two fellas on the road. So these people are going to be gone, and this guy here will be gone. Let's start with this group here at the end. You don't always have to remove things manually, but just messing around with this project, I found it's a little bit more effective just to get the group out of the way. You're going to want to use the lasso tool, probably the polygon lasso tool, and then you're going to click to create a point, and every time you click, it's going to create another point to trace the outline of the things that you're trying to get rid of. In some instances, you have to be pretty detailed about how you outline the things. In this case, since we have to redo the background anyway, it doesn't have to be precise. As you can see, I'm not right on the pixels, but I'm trying to do my best. You're probably better to err on the side of try to get all of the person, and if you want to leave a little bit of the background, that's okay. So we want to just keep clicking until we get around the whole thing. Especially being new at this, you might want to think about doing just some parts at a time instead of all of them in case you make a mistake. Now, where you do have to be pretty detailed is when we get to the dude in the brown shirt here, because we want to keep him in the picture. So you do want to err on the side of caution with maybe a little bit more of the road when you can. And then when you get to the guy's jeans, we want to click more so it's a little bit more detailed. We also want to keep it smooth. So let me just finish. Trust your eyes. Try to make it look natural. Trust your artistic judgment. And then we get to the end, double click. And then it'll have this area selected. And all we have to do is delete. And that chunk has been removed. So you can see I finished removing the group up top here. Some things to think about navigating through the image. You can zoom in and out using the scroll wheel if you have a mouse, which you're probably all going to want to plug the mice in for this. You can use the plus or minus bar here to navigate up and down and left and right. We can use the sliders here. We can grab the red box over here in the navigation window before I remove, and I'll let you watch me do this whole part. As we talk about removing this guy, something to consider is shadows. You can see I deleted some of the section over here. Shadows are a big way to tell if image has been altered. Just make sure to remove the shadows of things that you take out. And in this case, with this guy here, we're going to have to add his head in so the shadow doesn't look odd. So once again, to delete the guy over here carrying this bottle, similar to before, I'm going to zoom in a fair amount and remove his legs here. Use the lasso tool and the polygon lasso tool. And just by making individual clicks, it's going to draw this line. And every time I click, it's going to put another point down to select different parts of him. Just like before, we don't have to get too detailed because either way we're going to be repairing the road here. Sometimes when you're cutting things out and pasting things in, you have to get pretty down to the pixels to make it look accurate. But in this case, we are just going to get him out of the way so we can repair the road. All right, so we have removed the extra people that we want out of the photo here. So we have these two guys walking down the road by themselves. Now, so there's, hey, we have these big white chunks now. We want to make it look just like the roads we want to fill in. So one of the primary tools we're going to use for this is over here, the clone stamp tool. We want to think about the width. So right now this circle is the width of the brush. This looks a little bit narrow because what we're trying to do is get the grain of the road to flow naturally. So we're going to go ahead and even double. 150 looks good. We're going to want to use the soft brush, and this opacity here, what this does is at 100 opacity, whatever I draw is going to be completely opaque, that you cannot see through it. It's very harsh, it's very abrupt, and sometimes that's appropriate. But for this, we want to turn the opacity down. Well, let's just experiment for now around 70, just so that it's a little smoother. It makes it a little more gentle so that things blend in. So now, again, back to the clone stamp tool. So the way this works is you need to hold down the control key in the place that you want to copy. This is sort of like a copy and paste feature. It's called the stamp tool. It kind of looks like a stamp because you're going to stamp, like pretending it's ink. You're going to stamp part of the road, and then you paste it over here. So let's start at the bottom. I want this grain in the road to continue up through this section. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to hit Control left click, and that's going to copy. And then I'm going to paste. I'm going to click left click and draw, and it's going to go up here. Ooh, this is a good lesson. Sometimes it sort of bugs out a little bit because this is kind of stretching the limits of web-based apps. See how I have two circles that are offset here? This is when you want to save, close Chrome, and start all over again because it sort of bugs out. It lags a little bit. The clone stamp tool is pretty intensive, so I'm going to pause the video and do that right now. All right, so I've restarted Pixlr. I've reopened the image because the clone stamp tool is getting a little glitchy. So I'm going to select the clone stamp tool again. I'm going to go to the soft 150 brush, and I'm going to turn the opacity down to about 75-ish. I'm going to zoom into my work area. So for the clone stamp tool, again, hold Control, click, and it's going to copy the area I've selected, and then I'm going to draw it over the top of the new area. It's kind of tough to see on the video, but I'll probably demo in class. I'm clicking here, I'm copying in this area and continuing it up in the top. And I might turn the opacity up just a little bit. And I'm taking the road from underneath and pulling it up so that it looks natural. And this is going to take some time, and you are going to need to trust your judgment. And if you can see, eventually we starts to blend in all right. Now, as we get further down the road, it's probably a good idea to make the brush a little bit narrower, since the lanes are narrower the further away we get. You can see the more we kind of go over this, I'm going to turn the opacity. Got a bigger area down here to fix. Sort of, this spot's a little tougher. Again, so the idea, since we have this gravel road, is we're trying to make it look like a gravel road does with the various strains of gravel. I'm probably going to pause the video for a while. I don't know if you can see how it has started to glitch out again with the dual dual things. Now, I'm not going to go and do all this, but my last little tip here is about using the lasso tool to work on a specific area. For instance, here between the road and the grass, we don't want to accidentally draw grass in the road or road stuff in the grass. So if you select an area, oops, I want to use the polygon tool. If you select an area, let's say I just want to work on the grass right now, the only thing that will be altered when I use the clone stamp tool is the area within the selection. So it decreases, so I won't accidentally draw grass into the trees or road into the grass or vice versa. And again, the border might not look natural, so you're probably gonna have to go back through afterwards and clean it up a little bit. Like you can already tell, I'm gonna turn the opacity down here so it's a little smoother. But I can already see it starting to bug out a bit. So again, just using the selection tool, it will only alter the area that has been selected by the selection tool. This whole project might take a few days. It's going to take a lot of experimenting, some attention to detail, and trusting your artistic eye.